Hey guys, it's Matt with Olympus Reptiles, and today what we're talking about is how you go from bringing home this as a first, this is a probable first ball python, traditional, normal, wild type female ball python, how you go from bringing home this girl here to making creatures like these two right here. How do we get to that point? That's what we're going to talk about. There's a couple things you need, more so than just buying snakes. Most people start off with one or two snakes, and then they get one or two more and think, man, I really want to breed, and then it starts rolling. But there's some pitfalls in that. And you've heard me mention it a few times about, don't grow too big and work with what you want to work with. Let's talk about what those things really mean. Working with what you want to work with, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. That's why I own a bunch of Exanthic. But not growing too big means it's very easy, and I see people all the time who constantly will start, they get really, really excited, and I don't blame them for getting excited. I get excited. Why wouldn't you get excited? Look at the beautiful things you can make. And they get really, really excited, and this one's going to try to bite me. We're going to juggle snakes here today. And they get really, really excited. They start getting this, and they're going to make this, and before you know it, they have 25 baby snakes. 20 little bitty snakes, and that's all great. They feed them, they're going and buying little pink rats. Well, pretty soon they're buying small and medium rats. Okay, you're just going to run all over the place. And no effort not to stress my favorite little holdback female albino, we'll just slide you back in. And you can just sit here and be as angry as you want to be. I don't know why the snake hates the world right now, but she kind of does. So how do you get to that point? Well, they buy these 20, 25 snakes, and before they know it, they're having feed bills every week that are, 50, 60 bucks a week, which if you do the math is, 60, 120, 180, 240 a month. That's almost going to be about $2,600. Don't check my math. It's not a spot on. I'm doing it quick. Around $2,600 a year just in feed. It's just putting rats in your snake. And that's buying them cheap, not buying pet store prices. And it breaks them. They start look at the money they're spending. They're having to buy equipment. They're having to buy litter. They're having to buy all these little things. They're not producing yet. And it just builds up and it collapses. It sucks all their excitement out. So my advice to you is, one, don't start too big. Get a feel for it first. I wouldn't get to double-digit snakes until you kind of have a feel for what you're doing. And then number two, and probably most important of all, is pay attention to your infrastructure and have a plan. If you look back through our videos, you're going to notice camera guy Kurt sitting there and talking about rats. And there's a damn good reason for that. Because I have, again, 60 reptiles in the house at this moment in time. 61, actually, if you count. 62. I just remembered another one. 62 reptiles in this house. So you can imagine what my feed bill would be if I had to go and buy all that stuff. And not all of those are producing females up to size yet. Last year I think we produced, 6 clutches, Kurt?
Yep.
Yeah, you got to see, he likes to shake his head at me when he's behind camera. You got to talk to me, Kurt. About 6 clutches. I couldn't pay for my feed bill that way. So we have to build our infrastructure. We have to build it by breeding our own rats. And then we kept a handful of rat customers. We weren't trying to make money being rat breeders. But we kept a handful of rat customers that we sold rats to just to cover a rat feed. So that way we could feed our snakes without breaking the bank. You got to build your infrastructure, because every time I had a new snake, it's not the cost of the snake that hurts me. I go spend $200 one time on a cool new snake. Okay, I spent $200. It's a constant upkeep if I don't build my infrastructure. Which your infrastructure is your feed or your substrate. Where are you going to get that? What are you going to use? Do you have a source to get it? Your caging. Are you running 25 glass cages in your house? Are you pretty good at carpentry work and can build a rack? I'm not. That's why I bought this thing used years ago. And let's be honest, man, my rack's ugly as sin, this one is. But you know what? It works really well. It's very, very effective. And, I bought this before I could even fill up a half of it. Because I knew every time I added a snake, I needed a place for it. And we've had to buy more racks. And that's our plan this year, is to purchase more racks and more equipment. Because you have to build your infrastructure. If you don't have that set up, especially that feed, it'll collapse everything in on itself with time. So you can't just pay attention to what snake you're going to get next, but how are you going to support those snakes you get. Do you have any questions about that, Kurt?
No, not really.
Not really. You're killing me, man. It's going to be like a 2-minute video if you don't have questions. What we can tell you, though, is when you build that infrastructure, you know, listen to that. It's like hisses every time I touch her. And you have your incubation set up. You have your food set up. You got all that rolling. Then you get to make things like my champagne girl here. I don't think she has calico. I think she just has champagne. Really beautiful ringer, though. You get to make things like that albino I showed you. You can make that. You can make really cool stuff. I don't know why I didn't post that right away. Like this one I'm really excited about that I think is just beautiful. You can make things like that. You know, I mean, these are all things that I've produced. You know, our little bitty 29 gram Het True Ghost spider. Come here, little girlie. You can make that. You know, these are all things we made that we wouldn't have made any of it if we didn't have the infrastructure. You know, the killer bee female. Look at that. Bam. Yeah. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is why we do this. But you get none of these, and you don't get to this point very easily if you don't have the infrastructure to build it. And I could pull out another 20 snakes if I wanted to be probably kept. You know, the albino that's running around, a bunch of double het stuff. But I won't bore you guys with all that. So just know, you got to think about more than, I want that snake to really make this work. Alright guys, thanks for watching. You'll probably see a few more of these advice on how to get this rolling, because I think that's something that's lacking on YouTube. So if you have any questions or suggestions or something you want to know, do let us know. We'd love to help you out with that and show you everything we can. Alright guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Get in there, girlie.